Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cornerstone's second group webinar of the year. We'll be going over vendor partners today. Specifically, we'll be highlighting FormFire and EB3. Just some housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions, please type it in the question box and we'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation. Connect with Cornerstone on social media. Follow us and subscribe to our weekly Monday Minute newsletter for the latest Cornerstone, carrier, and industry updates. Today presenting will be myself, Bobby Beatrice, and Becky Kenneman, and our contact information is shown on the screen. Earn up to $7,000 with Cornerstone's Cash Incentive Program. Earn more when you sell more. For all group and individual new business sales between January 1st, 2022 and December 31st, 2022, you will earn points that will bring you close to the $7,000 cash prize. First, we're going to start off with FormFire basics. We'll be going over adding a new client, broker transfer request, deleting employees and new hires, and what the pricing of FormFire is, either going direct to FormFire or getting the discounted price through Cornerstone. So the presentation is going to be showing a lot of screenshots of the FormFire process, but you can definitely follow along in your own FormFire access. We're going to start off by adding a client. So if you were to log into FormFire under your agency, you would see a list of all your clients. If you wanted to add a client in the upper right-hand corner, you'd click on the blue button that would say Add a Client. And this will take us to the client details page. The first thing you're going to notice is the employer information. And the first thing we want to actually do is enter their nine-digit tax ID number. And when you do that, it'll either be clear to go or it'll come up with a red error saying this tax ID is already in use. If the tax ID is already in use, you actually have to go through a broker transfer request process. And we'll get to this a little bit later. But as you can see, this is all the employer information that is required: employer name, tax ID, SIC code, and really all those boxes right there. At the bottom of the screen, you'll also see Enable Employer Group Medical Questionnaire. That is actually required if you're going to fill out the employer app online. So make sure they check mark that box when you set this client up. If you're quoting one of the MIWAs, whether it's Anthem Ohio SACA MIWA or Medical Mutual's COSI MIWA, there will be a drop down for MIWAs as shown on the screen. Please make sure that when you're quoting SACA, you hit the drop down for SACA, and when you're quoting COSI, you hit the drop down for COSI. As you move on down the client details screen, you're going to run into the workflow options. This will set up the effective and renewal dates for the client, and it'll also have the open and close dates for the applications to be completed. So the effective date is pretty obvious. It's the effective date that you want your client to get rates for. The renewal date will either be a 12-month contract, so 12 months out, or if there's a common renewal date for one of the MIWAs, you put that in there. For the close date, I recommend putting the date before the effective date. That way, if there's any last-minute changes, you can go in there and have those changed by the employee without any headaches. And then the open date should just be today's date. As you're moving on down, you'll see the pre-screen workflow options. You need to check mark require employee medical history. If you do not check mark that, it won't ask any of the medical history questions that are required when doing the applications through FormFire to get underwritten quotes. So again, if that's not checkmarked, you'll have to checkmark it at a later date and everyone have to go refill out applications again. Also, if you are selling life, we highly recommend requiring beneficiaries. At some point, it is a good idea to have beneficiaries on file if you're selling life. Moving on down, you'll see the screen coverage line options. You'll at least want to check medical. But if you also are looking to shop out dental, vision, life, or any other lines, please check mark those boxes. If those lines are not check marked, then it won't be included on the application when it's sent out to the carriers. The last part is the broker setup. team member number 1 will be a drop down, and it will be whoever the writing agent is. And right above that, but not shown on the screen, will actually be the general agent information. You want to put Cornerstone's information in there. So again, it'll have the agency name will just be Cornerstone. It'll have our address, and we have to put that in there. And it also has our tax ID, which is under the franchise code. So again, if you don't know that, you can just reach out to your broker advisor and they can put that in there. So after your client is set up, you want to hit the save button, and you want to go back into the orange box next to your newly established client in FormFire. And on the orange box, it'll pull up a drop down, as you see here at the very bottom, right above delete client. You want to go to employer communication. What you'll do here is you'll actually be able to send out the welcome letter to your group, whoever the group contact or HR contact is, and that will create their account in FormFire. And then they'll also get a welcome letter that they can send out to their employees to create their accounts. So once you hit that employer communication, this pop-up screen comes up. The first one, you want to do welcome letter. Then the recipient, you want the HR only. The name, you'd want to put in whoever your group contact or HR contact is of the group. And then for the email, I recommend putting your own email. That way it'll send the FormFire welcome letter to you. That way you make sure it actually does go out. And then you can copy and paste it into another email and send it over to your HR contact. Again, it's just a best practice to make sure the group is getting the information that they need to set up their FormFire. This is a sample of what the letter would look like. Again, it comes into an email if you put your own email in there, or if you decide to just put the HR contact's email in there, this is what the example would look like. And then there will be a link where you can download the welcome letter. It'll have the client code in there that they need to enter to create their employee account in FormFire. So moving back to broker transfer request. As I said a couple slides ago, the first thing you want to do when entering a client is to check their tax ID. Again, it's a 9-digit tax ID. If it says it's already in use, then you have to do a broker transfer request. And let me pull that up. So this is what the broker transfer request looks like. Only the group contact can fill this out. What you want to do is just copy and paste this link in an email and send it over to the client, and then they will have to complete this. Pretty basic information. It's just the company information, their tax ID, their address, and the HR contact information. The new broker is going to be your agency information, how it shows up in FormFire, and then the address, name, and contact information. The current broker is going to be whoever they're currently working with. If it's not known, not a big deal. You don't have to fill that out. And then submitted by is going to be whoever submitted this form. At the very bottom, there's going to be a submit form button. Once that's submitted, a employer verification email will go out just to verify that they wanted to do the transfer. If they don't complete the transfer, then the transfer process will cancel and you'll have to start this process over again. So it's very important to make sure the group is getting that email and responding to it. And if they don't, then reach out to your broker advisor so we can contact FormFire. So that is it for client adding and broker transfers. Now let's get into the new hires. For new hires throughout the course of the year, they will have a special new hire option that appears on their landing page if their account is less than 30 days old, or if they had an existing account that was transferred into the group less than 30 days ago. Right here, it'll say new employee enroll now. Obviously, that will go away if it's been after 30 days. If that happens, then the employee needs to use the coverage change options drop down and select loss or gain of coverage. This would be the drop down, and you'd request benefit change. You need to enter today's date, and it lets them enter into the full questionnaire. If they use the non-coverage change option, then they will see the wrong version, and it won't update the application properly. For terminating employees, it is important to go to the agency screen, and then you're going going to click the orange box and go to employee list. Once you're at employee list, you want to go to the orange box next to the employee that you're wanting to terminate. And you'll go up to administer user at the top of this orange box. Once there, it'll pull up the administration screen for the employee, and you'll want to delete the employee from the group. There will be 3 buttons. There will be terminate, remove from the group, delete. If you're removed from the group, the member goes into the cloud and you'll still be charged for that member. But if you delete, it actually deletes their account. This screen might be a little bit hard to see, but I will make sure it's included in our follow-up to the presentation. This is the pricing for FormFire. There are 2 types of access. You have the full agent access, and you've got the sub-agent access. The full agent access gives you access to all the forms that FormFire has to offer, and the sub-agent access is for Anthem Soccer MIWA only, as it is required to be used with FormFire submissions. For the full agency price through Cornerstone, it is $99 per month plus a $2.40 per employee per year fee, and the sub-agent is just the $2.40 per employee per year. That is the discounted price going through Cornerstone. Now, if you did the standard price going direct to FormFire, the full agent pricing is $399 per month and a $3.75 per employee per year cost. And that sub-agent, the Anthem Soccer only, is $2.75 per employee per year. I know that was pretty quick, but again, we're trying to keep these presentations short. So if you have any questions, make sure to hit up that question box. But for right now, I'm going to pass it over to my friend Becky to go over EB3.
Thanks, Bobby. This is Becky Kinnaman. I am a broker advisor in the Columbus and Athens territories. And I'm going to go over the EB3 Employee Benefit Booklets module. You can create fully customizable benefit booklets in 15 minutes or less. They've added where you can include the annual legal notices, wrap SPDs, pop documents in 5 easy steps. So basically, step 1, you're going to choose your cover page and color to go along with the logo, you know, for said company. Step 2, you're going to select plans and legal notices. Step 3, you can organize and add pages or PDFs to your booklet. Step 4, you can input plan data and create plan library. Step 5 would be to input rates and contributions. You can change the order of the pages by dragging the pages up or down in the order in which you'd like to see them in your booklet. For $199 a month, you can add up to 75 clients. There's no contracts. It's a month-to-month. And there, if you wanted to look at some like demo videos, you can go to www.openenrollmentbooklets.com. I was going to walk you through a quick demo, but unfortunately in Columbus, we're having a pretty nasty ice storm and my internet is a little glitchy. So Kim Kennard, who is the Director of Employee Benefits for Northwest Ohio, Michigan, and Northeast India, has volunteered to go through the demo for us. Are you ready, Kim?
I'm ready.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if everybody can, oh, no problem. I hope everybody can see my screen. You'll see the 2022 employee booklet for company Luby McFluby. And I made that up. I'm not sure if you could tell. It's really easy to create a new booklet, but I thought I'd go with one that was already somewhat done. So we'll see booklet actions. We're going to edit the booklet. And all those steps that Becky just mentioned, you can change the name. You don't like the name, Luby McFluby, they change your company name. You can change it to something else. You can change the booklet year. You can upload the client's logo and customize it. Oh, look, there's a picture of me and Shirley. You can change the heading colors, which gives you a lot of flexibility if you know what your RGB values are for your custom colors, for your client's logo. You can get really granular if you like. The headings color, you can color coordinate with what your client's going to see. You see over here on the right-hand side, the Anthem copay plan, but you can easily change that to something else. A lot more fun. Let's do that just for fun. And then there's some stock cover pages. You can always insert a new one at the end, but I just felt like I like Big Bang Theory, so that's why I selected Flooby McFlooby Loo. You can select what benefits they have, whether or not they have a dual health plan, 2 plans, up to 3 plans for medical and dental, vision, life, supplemental life, STD, LTD, accident, and critical illness. And you can select what pages, and we're going to go into more detail. If you want to preview a sample, you just click on it. And so this gives you, some definitions. If you don't like the explanations here, you can write your own definitions. You can include something customer specific. Important items to remember. These are great parts for like the new hire waiting period, when benefits terminate, how you become eligible, those types of things that you might talk about. And I'll show you how to customize that sheet. So notice it says Cobra and Mini Cobra. You can change that to state continuation of coverage if you like. There's a notes page. And then if you just want to look at any of these other samples, a lot of these are things that you would only mention if, or, select or deselect if it applied. For example, if the client didn't have their COBRA administrator send the COBRA notice upon initial enrollment, that's what this little notice is. But the ones I've checked are the ones that are part of the annual notice package. Grandfathered, obviously, if they're grandfathered, you would select that. Michelle's Law, GINA Act, some of these others aren't necessarily annual notices, but they are plan coverage notices that have to be in your SPD. So if you've got a client that is self-funded, or their policy cert from the carrier doesn't mention these, then you would be able to add them. And then you can also select the wrap SPD and the premium only plan. So I'm going to save what we've done here. This is where you can move things around. So let's say you want to have important items to remember first, or if you had a notes, a special page you were inserting, you have the ability to add an external PDF. Let's say you want to eventually add your SPD, and then you would just move that up here, maybe behind the health section. If you had dental, you would maybe put an SPD behind that. Or if you needed to add table of contents to your document, you could do that as well. I'm going to delete this. I think I can. Okay. I don't know if I can do that from here. You can also duplicate pages. So if you know that you like the style of a certain page, or like for example, sometimes you'll have 2 different plan designs, but they might be 2 different PPO plans. You don't want to enter the copays again. They're all the same. All you're going to change is your out-of-pocket and your deductibles. You could just make a duplicate of something or add a plan. Let's say you wanted to add one of these you missed. Really easy to go back in and add it. Okay, I'm going to keep going here. I'm not watching the question box, so if anybody's got any questions, if you could save that for the end, and we'll review and see if we missed anything. This is where I mentioned you could customize, for example, the important items to remember. You could title that whatever you want, but this is where you would talk about your new hire period. Remember I mentioned you could say, disable this item. I don't want to talk about dependent children or open enrollment. Or, for example, let's say this group is not COBRA eligible. If you want to change this to Ohio state continuation, you could easily do that. Use a little more technical lingo. Okay, I'm holding the phone while I'm doing this, so sorry if I'm typing kind of slow, but you see how easy it is to check and change different items within this. You really can customize this. And we're going to save that next iteration. I need to be playing some Jeopardy music or something. Do, 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 do. All right, come on. Okay, here we go. Now what I do is I can say do not include rates. Let's say you have a different election form, but for fun, I'm going to go ahead and put something in, put in 1 year. I'm going to select the rate type. Notice, look at all these different types of rates. ACA rates. I'm going to pick 4-tier composite. That's the most common. And the contribution type. Look at all these different options. The most common, I think, is fixed dollar. And you have to put in an amount. I'm just going to do something real basic here so that you can see. Oops, doesn't like it when you just hit enter. Got to enter all the information at once first. Okay, so it's already calculated based on these fixed amounts that the employer cost per paycheck is going to be $230.77, and the employee cost is going to be 0 per paycheck. And so now it's mostly completed the booklet. We can view it or download it. You can modify it after that if you like. While that's popping up, I'm going to go back in here too. You can look at your premium breakdown. And I'm going to open it with, so remember those cool colors I picked? Does this look like Easter? Somehow I picked 3 plans. I don't know exactly how I did that, but you could have your medical, your dental, and your vision set up here, and this would show the breakdown of Cobra and Mini Cobra. This would be a nice insert if you're going to meet with a client, maybe with some different colors. Here's an employee election sheet. You can open it with Acrobat so they can make their election. Let me make that bigger so you can see it. So it shows premiums per paycheck, and it has a nice little section for the employee to complete it and add their dependent if you weren't using the carrier application. By the way, you can also insert the application in this booklet if you liked doing that. And then here's your wrap and your SPD. Let me see if this booklet came up. Yeah, here we go. 17 pages. I'm going to quickly scroll through this because we don't have a lot of time. Ooh, that pink is bright. You can just use black and white or shades of gray if it gets too busy. So I didn't go into this, but you can actually do a benefit summary within it. Now, some folks choose to just insert the SBC to save time, but if you wanted to have a custom benefit summary, you could do that. You can choose which fields you show. If you didn't want to show all of these fields, you could simplify that a little bit, which is really, makes this a nice, easy to use tool. Remember, I selected 3 plans. So these are those insurance terms and definitions that I mentioned. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not giving anybody a headache by scrolling too quickly, but I want to kind of show you. How about this? I'll do this. There's a notes tab. This is one of the annual notices that you're required to provide. It already pre-filled a lot of the employer information from when I originally put in the name of the group contact and their phone number and their address. Rajesh Kutrapali is the lead astrophysicist for McFluby-Lou. And so this goes through all of those different notices, including the CHIP notice. Even though we don't have a children's health insurance program here in Ohio, you never know where people's children reside. So a lot of brokers go err on the side of caution, and they make sure they give that out or recommend clients give that out just to be sure. Yeah, and the other cool thing is this Medicare Part D notice. Anybody else tired of having to remember to pull that Medicare Part D notice around October when you're just gearing up and getting busy with fourth quarter? If you include it in the enrollment packet, they'll have it all year long, and so you won't have to go dig around for it. You can just actually just pull just this notice if you wanted to, if you got a request from a client at some point. So I'm going back to the tool. I'm going to briefly show the wrap SPD. Becky, jump in if I'm missing anything or if you want me to show something specific.
Yeah, I think you're doing great. Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is just an initial wrap. I didn't go back through. Let me go back to companies. Let me go back in here to. Sorry, here we go. This is where I entered the company information. I'm wanting to go back to the booklet, edit booklet, sorry. Oh, yeah, this is what I want to show you. So when you go back to this step and you're doing a wrap SPD, you can actually load plan data, but you can also enter all the fields that are needed. If it's a plan reinstatement or if this is an initial SPD, you can note that. You can include the ERISA plan number, which, by the way, is a made-up number. The group just comes up with a number. It pre-fills the information from the company page, but these are all the fields that are needed to finalize your SPD. And this will really set you apart from other brokers who may not be providing this. This is like a $600. If you were to contact an attorney to have this written, it would cost you at least $600. So you're really adding value to your relationship with your customer. You could put in the name of the benefit programs, the type of funding, who the insurer is, the policy information for many different policies. And so that's what then spits out your SPD. Same with the POP doc, the premium only doc. This is your document that's required under Section 125 of the IRS rules for pre-tax, taking pre-tax contributions towards the cost of health benefit coverage. A lot of groups don't operate without that. They take the pre-tax contribution, but they don't actually have the document. So it, again, sets you apart from other brokers when you have this kind of tool available. A lot of the larger agencies do these on behalf of clients because, a 3-life group or a 10-life group may not be interested in investing the time and effort to get an SPD written by an actual attorney. And this is an SPD written by an attorney loaded into this very cool tool that allows you to help your clients with compliance. So, are there any questions out there? Anybody have any questions for me?
It does look like there's 2 questions, but they're FormFire related. So if you have questions about EB3, put those in the chat box, but I'll handle the 2 FormFire questions. The first one is that in the FormFire welcome letter, they talk about how FormFire is a secure website and it's HIPAA compliant, but it also says use the site at your own risk. So which is it? I can't speak for FormFire, but in my experience, it is a secure website. I think the use at your own risk is more of just a disclaimer to limit FormFire's liability. Again, I can't speak for FormFire though.
If I can jump in on that, I think the risk is that FormFire can't control what people enter into that system. So I think that's the disclaimer. So yes, it is secure, but what they mean is they can't control if somebody fails to disclose something and that causes a problem for the employer. FormFire is obviously not at risk if somebody chooses not to disclose something. I think that's what they're getting at. I hope that explains it.
Yes, thank you. And then the second question is, FormFire won't email me the welcome letter. Any thoughts? My first thought, which is probably the same thought you had, is it's probably getting stuck in your spam folder or it's being blocked by your firewall. And so in that instance, I would maybe reach out to FormFire, or if you've got your own IT team and the firewall is blocking that welcome letter. You can also reach out to your broker advisor to see if they can send that welcome letter to you as a kind favor. So, are there any more questions? If so, make sure you enter it in that question box. And then the last thing I will say before we wrap up here is keep an eye out for our next webinar. It'll be on February 17th. It'll be going over the Anthem Ohio MIWA.io process, and it'll also be going over the Anthem Sakamiwa annual reconciliation census process. And again, that's scheduled for February 17th. So if there's no more questions, we thank you for your time today.